Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Everquest 2. Now, we are playing on my Paladin. He is level 7, just actually level to level 7. And we are playing over in Greater Faydark at the Ore Camp. Now, my group that I just joined apparently had a little wipe here, so we're waiting for people to get back. They're also doing a loot random, or kind of a loot scheduling on the belt so that everyone gets a belt in turn. Now, the cool thing about doing that is everybody doesn't have to always, be a loot hog, doesn't always have to make sure that they're looting, because as a cleric, I know a lot of the time I'll just forget to loot. I'll forget to get up. I'm so concentrated on keeping people alive or meditating. I don't want to waste any time looting, so I just don't do it very often. And it's kind of nice that they let you, know when it's your turn to loot, so I can get up, loot my things, sit back down, and I don't feel greedy. I don't feel bad that I'm, ninja looting and stuff like that. So I like this routine a lot better. But I wanted to tonight get into a question that I actually had from Kevin, one of my viewers, posed to me on one of my videos and asking me, do I like Everquest 2 better than I like Everquest 1? And that is a very, very hard question to answer, because even though the games are kind of the same and they're set in the same universe, they are two very, very different games. Everquest 1 is a slower paced, more difficult, almost to the point of calling it like a hardcore, even though I've played games that are far, far harder. There was one game that I played that's an RPG, and you start off as a knight. If you die in that game at all, you have the chance of losing your character completely, as in starting all over again from creating a new character with a new name and a new level and getting all new armor. There's nothing you can do. I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm sorry, guys. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, they're welcome to. So the games can be a lot more hardcore than this. So don't get me wrong. I know it's not the extreme games out there, but it is a lot more difficult than most games. If you're going to compare it to, say, something like WoW, which is a great game, I'm not going to put it down. I'm not putting any games that I mentioned down tonight, guys. If I mention a game, it's because I respect it and that I like it. That's why I played it in the past. But that game really does a good job at making it... yeah, we're ready. If I could actually see my keyboard. Hold on, let me pull these things. But like WoW does a great job at making it where you can just pick the game up and start playing. You don't need to know anything. It takes a lot of talent to do that to a game, to make it so easy that even a kid, like 4 or 5, even younger than I've heard, can play that game. So that's very, very cool that you can do that. But at the same time, at higher levels in that game, they really give it some really, really sophisticated in-game stuff, so that people who are older or just able to do greater or more sophisticated maneuvers and figure things out still have something for them to do. So in that sense, it is kind of I would put it in like a medium class as far as difficulty, because it does have its moments, but overall it's a pretty easy game to pick up and just play. There's not a huge learning curve in that. And that's kind of what Everquest 2 was trying to compete with. They were trying to compete with WoW in just the popularity and just how easy it is to play. There's no big, penalty for dying. In Everquest 2, if you die, you don't have to go back and find your body. You don't have to loot your corpse. You don't have to worry about putting a group together and working your way back down there. You spawn at a safe point with all your armor on. You do have a little res death penalty on your stats that lasts for like 30 seconds and then they're gone. And usually by the time that the res death is the effect is gone. You're at full life and full power, so not too terribly, you know, a big penalty there. You also don't have experience loss. You have experience debt, but no experience loss. So if you do die, what it does is you don't lose anything per se. You just, for the next few kills, have to pay back that debt. And you don't actually even have to pay back that debt either if you want to log off. You log off, while you're gone, that experience debt will slowly tick away. So if you're having a bad night, you die 10, 15 times in a row, and you have experience debt. I think it actually maxes out at a certain point, like 10%, 11% or something like that. And then you just can't get any more experience debt. But you could log off, and I believe it's 1% for every hour that you're not playing. Log off for the night, log back on in the morning, and your experience debt will be gone. No penalty there whatsoever. Everquest 1, a lot more difficult. You die, you could lose a level. You can lose quite a bit of stuff. You can lose your corpse if you die in a really hard spot. Now, you usually have like a week to get it back, but I've heard about people who just, you know, in crazy spots, like underneath a dragon, and they were trying to do it with a pickup raid, and everybody left, and it's a dragon that nobody really hunts anymore, and nobody wants to kill it, and just he can't find anybody to summon his corpse, or he doesn't have enough cash, and it's like one thing after another. If you don't plan ahead, you can get into a whole lot of trouble, you know. So before you go to really dangerous areas, you need to make sure that you have, you know, enough cash in the bank for worst case scenarios, things of that sort. And so because of that, it's a lot harder, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy EverQuest so much more, because I realized early on that not everybody was going to get to the end game. Not everybody was going to have the patience to sit there and level up as slowly as you do in this game. Not everybody was going to have the skill to do it, you know. I mean, I don't want to sound like, oh, I'm bragging because I got the skill. I mean, a lot of people can do it, but there are people who just can't find that one class that they excel at. There's some people who can play it mediocre, you know, here and there, but by all funds, see you around. So I guess we're losing somebody. Let's see, did they... Okay, he's just gonna log. I thought maybe he was getting mad about something, maybe the death that they had earlier. Okay, we're about to lose another person too. You know, but in the early days, and my age will show a little bit here, is when games came out back in like the 80s, it wasn't like it is now where you wait a day and like 15 games came out. They're all big blockbuster games. And, you know, you have your choice of playing the game, and you're just like so overwhelmed with, I want to play that one, I want to play that one, I want to play that one. Just not enough time in a day, even if all you did was sit there and play video games. It wasn't like that before. It was pretty much, you liked RPGs? Well, you'd get an RPG that came out maybe once every 2 or 3 years. Now, RPGs had a little bit more, you know, steady flow than some of the other genres, like the RTSs, like Command & Conquer or Doom, that I loved. I remember waiting like 4 or 5 years in between titles, just waiting for a good one to come out, so I could play one of those. So I used to play games over and over and over again, just waiting for another one, to feel that desire. And then I got this one, and this was awesome. My brother actually got it for his birthday from one of his friends, and he was living with us at the time, so I got to try it out. And it's crazy. It's the first MMO I ever played, so yeah, it holds that kind of special place in my mind and in my heart. But the fact that it never ended appealed to me in such a huge way, because instead of having to wait 2, 3, 4 years for another you know, game that I could actually play, I could always come back to this. Would be my old faithful. I could play the new games when they came out, and I'd beat them in a week, 2 weeks, whatever it would take for me to beat them, and then I could come back to this one. And this one would always be there for me. It would always have something new for me to play, something new for me to do, another level for me to get, more armor, things of that sort. But what had actually ended up happening is I kind of stopped playing the other ones because this one was so good. I mean, there's just literally so many places to see that I just didn't want to stop. I wanted to keep playing, and then I started grouping, and that to me is the huge difference between EverQuest 1 and EverQuest 2 is the grouping. Now, you can group in both games, and you can have fun in both games doing so. But because it is so slow compared to EverQuest 2 or WoW, you have time to sit there and talk. Like, it actually, even if people who don't like talking will take the time to talk because there's literally nothing else for them to do. There's two of them. Oh, great, I'm blinded. And I can't even warn them. So, in EverQuest 1, there's mobs and names that you would fight. I remember then when you're trying to get the Goldie and Free boots, this is one of the most notorious rooms for conversation, because it takes you a while to get to the room first of all, and in between spawns is like, I think it's like 30 minutes between the spawns, so it's a low enough time that people would wait, because it took you like 45 minutes to get to that room, but a long enough time that you don't really have that much to do. I mean, there's only so much, small things that you can do in the meantime. Like, I need to go make a sandwich, I need to go to the bathroom, and then you have an extra, 25, 30 minutes waiting. So I got 3, hold on a second, I want to kill everybody. And so I remember going there with a group of friends, sitting there, and we would just, talk about random stuff. Hey, oh, it's the power's flickering here because it's raining, and then somebody would be like, oh, well, must be nice to have rain. It's been snowing here for the last 3 weeks, or, must be nice to have snow. It never snows down here, and you get to learn about not only who they are, where they're from, what they like. And I had some of the greatest friendships I've ever had in my life with people that I met online that I've never actually even met in person. Some people might be like, oh, that's sad, but I think that's actually pretty awesome to have a friendship with somebody in another country, halfway around the world, and know them just as well, if not better, than people that I know, here in my own state or in my own town. So I like that. Somebody hit me, please. Oh, I guess they're asking to join the group. Let's see if they get them. I don't know if they know that they're looking for a group. Let me go ahead and keep pooling. I'll let them figure it out. But that, to me, like I said, is the deciding factor in which game is better. The relationships, the groups, the people you get to know is far better in EverQuest 1 than it is in 2, because 2, like I said, is competing against WoW, and WoW was a constant kill. It's just your power went down very slowly so that you always had plenty of it. You got to just power right through levels. I remember in EverQuest 2, after I reached max level and I kind of got bored a little bit, I was like, you know what, I'm going to start a new character. I'm going to go back and play a tank. I played a Guardian. And I actually, because I knew what I was doing, I didn't even have to give them any money. Like in this game, if you want to power level a character, you twink them out, you give them a whole bunch of good armor and weapons and things of that sort, and then you just go and you kill things that you shouldn't normally be able to kill. In that one, I didn't even need to do that. All I did was do quest, and I would go to a zone, get like 15 or 30 quests all in the same area, do them all within like 5-10 minutes, and gain 10 levels in that amount of time. And within, I think it was like 3 days of just hardcore playing, like 8-9 hours a day, I got to max level with them, and it was ridiculous. It was so quick. It kind of sucked all the fun out of it. And yeah, I could have taken my time with it, but people are going to take advantage or rush through things if you allow them to. People are always looking for a way to cut down the time. People used to complain, I was one of them. They complained that running through zones or taking the boat took too long, and it took me an hour and a half to get to some zones and things of that sort. But because it took you so long to get to those zones, I found that you would stay in them longer. Even if there wasn't any groups, you would sit there longer looking for those groups, because you knew how long it would take you to get back. So you're like, I'm already here, let me stay here. If worse comes down to worse, I'll log my character, log on to a different one, and try back in an hour. And because of that, you were able to find groups in those areas more often because, you know, people took the time to get there. They stayed longer. It wasn't like in Everquest 2 where, you know, somebody may show up to an area and be like, hey, anybody looking for a group? If nobody's there, boom, they're gone. Somebody may log in or come in there like 2 seconds later. They may... This guy didn't see me. You know, 4 or 5 people may come in 2 seconds later, and then they all leave because nobody's there looking for a group. So it's just timing on some of those things is just bad. But you didn't really have to worry about that in this one as much. And I don't know, it just seems like there are little things, very, very little things about Everquest 1 that really forced you to group. Now you could... okay, there's on a belt, so... let's grab it. Okay, there is no belt here, they're just saying I'm next. It's just a combination of everything. It's the combination of having to run to places. It's the combination of what happens when you die. It's the combination of just slow experience hunting by yourself. The combination of just safety in numbers. It's really just an overall package. Like, they just hit it out of the park the first time. And a lot of people try to recreate it and they fail. And I don't think you can really... There's nothing you can define it as just, this is the one reason, or this is the top 10 reasons why the game is the way it is. Without so many different things in this, I think it would have failed. It wouldn't have been nearly as great or as long-lasting as it obviously is. But for me, again, the hugest portion of any game that I play, not just this one, but any MMO that I play, is you know, interaction with other people. I mean, it's in the name. It's a massively online role-playing game, or RPG, if that's what you're playing. But you can play a first-person shooter and things of that sort that are all MMOs. And if I'm not interacting with people, if I'm not talking to them, if I'm not getting to know them, then why don't I just play by myself? I mean, it would be easier, and it would be less money, because usually MMOs come with some sort of monthly charge or in-game currency that they want you to go ahead and spend money on. Just making sure I want to sell 22. Okay, so we're losing somebody here. And console, or not console games, but single-player games, campaign mode games, usually are just a one-time buy. You're done with. You don't ever have to spend any extra money on that. Whereas MMOs you usually do. And so if I wanted to play by myself, it'd be a lot cheaper just to do that than to use one of these. And so if I play these, it's because I want to meet other people. The same thing when I played Borderlands online, when I bought that game when it first came out, because I actually went to Gearbox's Community Day, and I got to see Adam Slessler and Morgan Webb and meet the actual makers of the game and talk to some of the programmers and take pictures with them, and it was just all around blast. If you guys ever get to go to a convention like that for Gearbox or anybody, I would highly suggest it. It's just, oh my god, it's fun, and you get to meet so many people there that all think and act and just play games just like you do. And so, like I said many times already, that it's the community that makes it for me. It's the community that really brings these games together and makes them what they are. Obviously, the game still has to be pretty good, otherwise, you know, it's going to fail. If the controls are all clunky, if the bash, I don't have a sword or a shield, so I can't do bash, unfortunately. You know, because I have played MMOs that just failed, like in everything. The combat was just lame. It was full of bugs, you know, creatures running into walls and getting stuck in trees, or even worse, you're the one getting stuck in walls and running up trees. It's really bad. But I don't know why they're attacking a bat. That's the weirdest thing for them to be doing over here, but okay. And I don't know if I'm actually making any sense, or if I'm just repeating myself a whole bunch of times. Probably both. Not making sense and repeating myself a lot, but trying to concentrate on two different things as the puller and stuff. This would be a lot easier to do the video and the question as my cleric, because then I wouldn't have to move as much, and I can just kind of sit back and talk to you guys. But any of you who played in the 80s or, you know, had games in the 90s, because the 80s and 90s were pretty close to the same as far as games. You know, granted they kept getting a little bit better here and there, but overall the output was very sporadic. And so when you found a game worth playing, you hang on to it. You know, you played it as much as possible, and even once you were done, you would go back and play it over and over and over again, waiting until the next one, you know, you found that was really cool. And so I think that's another reason why this one is my favorite over EverQuest 2. Now, I do still play EverQuest 2, and I do Let's Play videos for that. I go through and show you guys how to do the quest one at a time, and, you know, who to talk to. I read the quest out to you because they still didn't have, you know, voices for every single one of the quest. You know, they didn't read the text out to you and things of that sort. And so for those of you who are watching it on a small screen and may not be able to see the text very clearly, I'll go ahead and read it out. And then I take you through every portion of that quest, what mobs to kill, how to kill them, any little tricks of the trade that I found in that game. And, you know, I played that game for a good 6 years, 7 years, so it is a good game. And it does have a lot of things that this one doesn't have. It improved upon a lot of things that this one was already doing, and anybody who played this one could easily go back and play that other one, EverQuest 2, and not really have that huge of a learning curve. It's not really that different from EverQuest 1. Now, if you played EverQuest 2 and you go to EverQuest 1, you're going to have quite a bit of a learning curve. It's because EverQuest 2 is so much easier than this one. And not in a bad way, again, guys. I'm not trying to put one down over the other and say this and that. And I'm just telling you that it's different. And there's nothing wrong with being different. There's nothing wrong with being easier. I mean, if you want to have, or if you want to play a game like this and you're young and you know that your skill level is pretty low, or even you're just brand new to the game series and you're not an expert and you don't want to start with a hardcore game as your very first one, or if you're trying to get your girlfriend or boyfriend into a game like this, this to me would not be the game to do that with. This one is a little bit more difficult than it has to be, and probably not as enjoyable for somebody who's just starting out and probably in their circumstance never played an RPG or an MMO in their life. So for those people, WoW or EverQuest 2 would be a great option, a great choice, and they would still get a lot of enjoyment out of it. It would introduce them to a lot of the aspects like leveling. I mean, not as hard, but it has it in there. It introduces them to skills without overwhelming them. Like in this one, it doesn't explain a whole lot. It doesn't tell you, oh, hey, I don't know if that's hers or not. I guess I'll hold off. I don't want to steal it from her. I'd feel pretty bad if she's been sitting there medding up and waiting for that. But back to my topic. It would introduce them to a lot of things in an easy way. This one doesn't necessarily show you what your skill level is. It doesn't necessarily show you, you know, what the weapon is doing in great detail. EverQuest 2 really expanded upon that and really basically just put more detail into a lot of stuff. The spells here, you know, I don't have any on my Paladin until I reach level 9, which I'm not too far away from. But even once you get them, they just tell you the name. They just tell you, oh, it's Heroic Bond, or oh, it's Light Healing. But it doesn't tell you what it does. You still have to figure that out for yourself. That's kind of hardcore. That's like D&D style, where you would get something and be like, oh, you got the cloak of magicians, and just be like, okay, yeah, but what does that do? Well, that's part of the fun. You have to figure it out. You have to put it on, and then, you know, roll the dice and see what happens. Maybe you can figure it out. Maybe it will take you, you know, 3 weeks of using that robe before you finally figured out that all it does is give you seeing viz. Well, that's great, but it would be nice to know that ahead of time, so I didn't have to sit there and you know, waste 3 weeks with it on when I could have been using a better robe doing this or that. She just stood up, so I still don't want to take that from her. She must be waiting on her power. And that's the problem with this one, is it just doesn't tell you any of that stuff. But EverQuest 2 will. EverQuest 2 will show you that, oh, it does this much AC, and it does this power or this spell, and this is what the spell does, and this is how much the spell costs to cast the power, and this is how much it will hit for, or this is how long it takes to cast. And it really is just overly detailed in everything you want to know, and then some. I should stay there a little bit and let him heal me up just in case I get to a bad fight. That's gonna die pretty quick. I don't even know if we have a healer. Incoming a bat. I'm still clicked on the bat for some reason, not the oracle. So, Kevin, I hope that somewhat randomly answered your question. That wasn't my best performance or best question or best answer that I've ever given, but it's a very, very hard one to answer because there's just so much to it. There's a lot of factors. The age that I started, the time in which the game came out, and even today, if I had to pick, you know, EverQuest 1 or EverQuest 2, most likely I would pick EverQuest 1 over EverQuest 2. But thankfully, I'm not ever going to have to make that choice, at least not anytime soon, because I can still play both. I can still play the original EverQuest, and I can still play EverQuest 2 whenever I want, and I play both of them every week. So I still enjoy both aspects, the easiness of EverQuest 2 and the incredibly difficultness of EverQuest 1. But I don't know, I mean, EverQuest 2 can still be very engaging with the multiplayer as far as meeting people, but I never got into that aspect really detailed until I got max level when I started raiding. Before that, not a whole lot. It was just really, you know, every once in a while I'd find an extra person who was doing a quest that I happened to be on. We'd group together and we'd kill a couple things, finish off a few quests, and then that would be it. They'd go off their way, I'd go my way, until the next person I ran into wanted to do something as well. Grab this. I guess he's not going to pull it up. Now, even if you can kill it down there yourself, the benefit of pulling it up is simply because where it dies, you know, if you're killing things all over the place, and if a belt drops and you tell somebody to loot it, they're gonna have to run and find it, and it's kind of a mess, you know, if you just, I don't know why it's not letting me there. If you just let it die in the room or in the spot where everybody's camped, you'll be better off in the end, and so will they. They won't have to, you know, get aggravated because they can't find whatever you're talking about. Which is, I think, exactly what he just did. He just told them there's a belt down there. So now nobody will know where it is. They probably think it's over here on the Oracle and things of that sort. Yeah, but who's the belt for? Probably for me, but I haven't been paying attention because I've been talking to Kevin, letting him know how I feel. Hopefully, I hear back from you guys. I would love to know what you guys think, whether you guys enjoy EverQuest 1, if you guys have played EverQuest 2 or EverQuest 1, if you're going vice versa. Maybe you're big into EverQuest 2 and you've seen some of my videos and you decided to check out EverQuest 1 and you're like, okay, it's pretty cool, but I still kind of like the polished version of EverQuest 2, and I like the fact that I can get around a lot quicker, because some people hated that. Some people hated not being able to get to where they wanted to actually go without spending an hour or 2 hours trying to get there. And they hated having to sit there and wait for a group to form when they just wish they could kill a couple creatures on their own. And they kind of gave EverQuest 1 that facelift later on when they added the mercenaries, which I think, again, is another reason why I kind of went away from those, is because Yeah, you can do a lot of things with a mercenary, because you can get him as a healer, and you can get him as a tank and a DPS like a rogue or a wizard or something like that. But because you had those, you didn't have to sit there and wait for a group, and because you didn't have to sit there and wait for a group, less and less people can actually find a group, because less and less people are looking for one. And it becomes more and more about soloing, or finding one good friend to group with, or two people to group with, and each one of you having a mercenary. Now you have a full group. And again, that's great on those days where there's just nothing, there's no groups available. It's awesome to be able to go off and actually be able to do something. But on the flip side, it makes the rest of the time, for those people who are really playing for the connection of other people, that it lowers their odds of actually finding somebody. And it kind of, in my opinion, is one of the reasons it killed the game there for a while. It's just a lot of people left. A lot of people just couldn't find groups. They got tired of sitting there waiting an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. I remember, I've talked about it before. We need to click them to invite. I remember, on some of my characters, like my Shadow Knight, I would wait 2-3 hours sometimes looking for a group. I mean, some days I would wait 6-7 hours and never find a group the whole time I was on, and I was forced to solo, and I hated doing that by myself. And, so I can totally understand the point of view of making that easier. But as I've said, it's the little things that really brought all this together, and one of the little things is the force. The force of simply making it too difficult to solo, too hard to risk fighting by yourself, and force you to get into groups with other people. I guess I am next on the belt. He keeps calling me Din, but I'm Demiro, so I'm hoping he's just spelling it wrong and he doesn't actually see an M as an N. I'll take the rations. Always good to have a little bit more food. Okay guys, so I think I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here, and I want to ask you guys to take a minute, if you enjoy these videos, to hit the like button or subscribe. Every time you guys do that, it definitely helps out my channel. I've actually talked to a few game companies, and some of them won't even let you review their game or do Let's Play game or videos of their game unless you have a high enough viewer rating or high enough subscriber list. So if you guys can take that few seconds, if you enjoy, and just hit the like button, subscribe, or even leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Hear what your thoughts are, if you enjoy these videos, or if you want to see more of something as far as zones go, or things of that sort. So again guys, I appreciate your clicks. I also appreciate you guys watching, and I want to thank you guys for that, and I'll definitely catch you on the next episode.